Hi, I'm Ms Beth from Peters Township Public Library, and for Pumpkin Week, I'm going to be reading you a book called The Bumpy Little Pumpkin. And you can see I'm here in the library and we have our own little pumpkin patch behind us. We have some pumpkins back here for our pumpkin decorating contest. Our contest takes place in October. You can register to pick up a pumpkin here, or you can decorate your own pumpkin at home to look like a book character, and then you can bring it back to the library and people will vote on them, and we'll be having a contest. So I hope you have a chance to do that and enjoy it. The Bumpy Little Pumpkin is written by Margery Cuyler and illustrated by Will Hillenbrand and published by Scholastic. The Bumpy Little Pumpkin. Little Nell lived with Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie in a great big house in a great big woods. Behind the great big house, there was a great big garden. And in the great big garden, there was a great big pumpkin patch. All summer long, little Nell had helped her family water and weed so that the pumpkins would grow big and orange for Halloween. When Halloween finally came, Big Mama called to little Nell and her sisters into the kitchen. "It's time for each of you to pick a pumpkin to carve," she said in her big blustery voice. "Me too?" asked little Nell. "You too," said Big Mama. So little Nell followed her sisters out to the pumpkin patch. "There are so many wonderful pumpkins, it's hard to choose," said Big Sarah. She picked up a tall, skinny pumpkin. "I think I like this one," she said. Big Lizzie picked up a round, fat pumpkin. "This is the one for me." But little Nell couldn't decide. She walked back and forth, looking at all the pumpkins. Some were big, some were small, some were crooked, some were tall, but none was just right. At last she came to the end of the patch, and there sat a bumpy little pumpkin, all by itself. "This one's my favorite," said little Nell. "It's bumpy and little and ugly," said Big Lizzie. "It could have a nice smiley face," said little Nell. "No way," said Big Sarah. "How about this nice smooth one instead?" "I like the bumpy one," said little Nell. Big Sarah and Big Lizzie rolled their eyes. "We're taking our pumpkins inside," they said. "Keep looking until you find a bigger and better one." After they left, little Nell sat down near the bumpy little pumpkin. A tiny tear fell down her cheek, and then another and another. Her friends Reindeer, Hare, and Bear Cub came along. "What's wrong?" asked Bear Cub. Little Nell sniffed and snuffled. "Big Lizzie and Big Sarah think my pumpkin's too bumpy and too little and too ugly to make a good jack-o'-lantern." "I don't think it's too bumpy," said Bear Cub. "Or too little," said Reindeer. "Or too ugly," said Hare. "You don't?" asked little Nell. "No," said the animals. "This pumpkin would make a great jack-o'-lantern," said Reindeer, "and we could help you carve it." "How?" asked little Nell. "Like this," said Reindeer. He lowered his head and cut around and around the top until he'd carved a lid. "Ooh," said little Nell. "That's perfect." "I can scoop out the inside," said Bear Cub. "How?" asked little Nell. "Like this," said Bear Cub, and he clawed and pawed until there was nothing left but an empty shell. "Oh, goody," said little Nell. "How about the face? How can we do that?" "Let's ask the birds for help," said Hare. So little Nell whistled for the birds, and they flew down from the trees. "Could you make the face for my jack-o'-lantern?" asked little Nell. "What kind of face?" With her finger, little Nell etched and sketched a face in the dirt. It had triangles for eyes, a square for a nose, and a smiley lopsided mouth. "Like this," she said. So the birds poked and pecked until the pumpkin had a face. At last the jack-o'-lantern was finished. Little Nell smiled a tiny smile. "I can't wait to show it to Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie." She picked it up and ran all the way to the house. "What a beautiful jack-o'-lantern," said Big Mama. "Where did you get it?" "From our pumpkin patch," said little Nell. "But who helped you carve it?" asked Big Sarah. "My friends Reindeer, Bear Cub, and Hare," said little Nell. "I still think it's a little bumpy and ugly," said Big Lizzie. "Nonsense," says Big Mama. "Jack-o'-lanterns come in all shapes and sizes." The girls placed their jack-o'-lanterns near the door and Big Mama lit them. Mine's cool, said Big Sarah. Mine's even cooler, said Big Lizzie. They're all wonderful, said Big Mama. Even mine, asked Little Nell. Even yours, said Big Mama, and she leaned over and gave Little Nell a big sloppy kiss. Little Nell smiled. Happy Halloween! The end.